today about innovation. There will be a little bit of AI mixed in there, but I really want to lean into the ways in which more practice can start thinking about setting boundaries with your clients and how to leverage the TaxDome system to help you to execute on those boundaries. Because I've worked with a lot of practices, and I will tell you there's a lot of people who wish they had stronger boundaries with their clients, but they're not sure how to put those in place. So we're going to talk about that today. Next, do I have a clicker, please? So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how can you train your clients to be compliant without chasing them. We're then going to look at how we can use automation to reduce emails, following up with your clients, and how to reduce the interruptions for you and your team while still giving a great client experience. We're going to talk about modernizing your infrastructure to stay competitive, and also how you can protect your time, your profit, and your peace of mind in your AI-driven features and the automations within TaxDome. All right. So who are you? Well, we have worked with a lot of you, and I actually have quite a few clients here today. I'm so grateful you guys are here. But what we have found is that you are a purpose-driven accountant or tax professional, and you really are tired of doing it all. That's why you found TaxDome, right? You're dreaming of a business that gives you more freedom, not just more work or more complexity. You are ready to stop running on all these legacy processes and start building that firm that's scalable, intelligent, and future-proof. Things are changing fast, and being here today actually shows that you guys are already innovative. If you're using the TaxDome system, you are innovating. Who are you and what you want is you're really ready to start enjoying life again. I can tell you the people that we have worked with, they did not come to us because they want to continue the way things have been. They are looking for tools and solutions to help them actually create a life that they love. You want your clients to be well cared for. This is critical to the relationships that Ivy was just talking about. It's about those long-term relationships. Nobody wants to implement technology and leave their clients in the dust, right? It is not the way that we want to think about technology. You are wanting to increase your profit. It is becoming more and more critical for small practices and practices in general to start scaling with profit in mind. We can't just keep throwing humans at the problem. We also want to simplify the services of our actual delivery processes. And the technology that we're going to talk about today is going to help you do that. And most importantly, you want a life-first business, because when we build our businesses for our lives, we stop working 60-hour weeks. We stop spending all of those hours in the drudge and the grind. And we actually have hobbies. We actually have time to go to cheer events with our family members. We're actually able to take vacations. And really, at the end of the day, you just want freedom, just like many of our clients do, just like your clients do. So who am I? Well, I am Gruol, and I am the co-founder of Workflows for Tax Pros. This is my tax pro buddy, Jessica. She's the other co-founder. And we both have accounting degrees. We both have extended certifications. I have my MBA. Jessica is an enrolled agent. We both have spent thousands, probably 20 or 30,000 hours at this time in TaxDome. And Jessica has been using TaxDome in her practice since 2020. So Ivy, she's one of your early adopters. And we have helped over 1,000 practices at this point, this is 800 but it's more now, automate with TaxDome since 2021 and with our Workflows for Tax Pros program. And I myself have done 40 or more TaxDome custom setups, meaning that I have been into the back end of many practices. And in the end, all of our clients want freedom because that's what Jessica and I want ourselves. We have created our businesses around that. Now, a little bit about me. How did I end up here? Well, I do have an accounting degree. I ended up in healthcare IT, and I ended up in software implementation. Jessica and I met on the interwebs in 2020, and as fate has it, we were joined together to help provide solutions to many of you in this room and hundreds and thousands of others in this industry as well. And we are on a mission to help the small practice owners to implement technologies in a way that is good for their clients, but especially good for them. So you did not start your firm to drown in emails, to be following up and chasing your clients. You started it for freedom because you wanted to have a positive impact on the people that you serve. You wanted to create a life that actually works for you. So many of you have left corporate to build your businesses, and I bet when you left corporate, you did not imagine creating the job that you've created for yourself today. And so what we can start doing is, as business owners, looking at how we can leverage technology to actually create the jobs that we want to have. And so let's start talking about that today, because it's having the right systems in place that allow you to do that. And we're going to talk about that plan here today. Now, people often come to us and they're like, I just can't figure this out. And I have identified several areas that are the key and drivers for what people call the chaos in their lives. Number one, there's multiple communication channels. Clients are missing cutoffs, and you're in result working late nights. There are endless calls and emails, which means you have no time for the meaningful work and service delivery that you have actually been hired to do. And this chaos isn't just stressful, it is actually killing your ability to create the freedom that you want. Now, I want to talk to you about this very important fact. A lot of people come to us saying my clients are lazy. And I want to help you shift this today, because it's not that your clients are lazy, or that they're non-compliant, or that they're choosing to be non-compliant. It's that you are currently not providing them the system that they can actually follow that will make them successful in your eyes. Because when you have no system and you have no clarity on what that system should be, that is where you get the chaos. And so what we're going to talk about today is how we can create better systems to have better clients, leveraging AI, leveraging technology, and those systems are going to help create the behaviors that you're actually looking for in your clients. So what does a well-run firm actually look like? Well, it's going to run smoothly without constant firefighting. It's going to give you back the time for your deep work, the stuff where you're actually creating change and creating the impact that you want. And it's going to give you room to figure out and make those big decisions, because when you don't have the room to train on there, right, to make the big decisions, you can't actually change the outcome of what you're getting. And then finally, it's going to create an ability to support your life, not just your client list, meaning that we can actually make the decisions about how we want our lives to work, not always based on the expectations of our clients and how they expect us to work. So before we go forward, and before we talk about tech, because we've talked about what the shift is that we need to make, I want you right now, I'm going to give you 5 seconds, think about what you actually want your life and your business to look like in 2 or 3 years. When was the last time you did that? And was it just creating more of the same, or are you actually trying to shift the outcome of that 2 or 3 year vision? I want to introduce to you the freedom formula that we're going to go through today. The first thing we're going to talk about are boundaries, because I know I need more of them, you may feel you need more of them. But when we can set narrower channels and really clear cutoffs, we can actually change the way in which our clients interface with us. We're going to talk about proactive communication and the ability to leverage technology to do that for us, because when we lead, we chase a whole lot less, and we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to wrap up with automation, and I'm going to walk through several of the key automations that I know you need to be using in your practice, and some of you may be using them, some of you may not, so take the inspiration where you can find it, and take that home with you to implement when you get back to the office. So why does this matter right now? Let's talk about the whole AI aspect of things. There is a lot of things changing really fast in this industry. And it's not just for you. AI is changing the way in which clients expect to work with us. No, this is not your 75-year-old client that you've been working with for 20 years. I'm talking about the people that are stepping into the money in this industry or in the world right now. The business owners, the small business owners, the 40 to 50-year-olds that are actually the clients you should be thinking about. Don't solve a problem for the people that are going to be retired and stepping out of your client roles in the next years. Think about the people that are stepping into the incomes that we want to be serving, the clients that need the tax planning and advisory work, the clients that are stepping in and building small businesses. Those are the people you need to be thinking about serving. And they want and are expecting for you to be stepping into the technology world today. Their expectations are rising rapidly because the speed and delivery of service of other industries and other vendors that they work with are quickly changing and innovating. So they're looking for that from you too. And finally, manual systems are equally burnout for so many people. And this is missed opportunities of new clients to work with. It's increasing client churn of those ideal clients you want to be working with. And you need to be thinking about how this is serving you, because this is really starting to squeeze all of the industry business owners and the small firms, large firms alike. The expectations of those owners are really changing. So we built the freedom frameworks because we want to help you modernize and be able to work, we want to help you modernize and be able to do this without more work, and then grow and scale without burning out. So let's talk about step one, and I talked about the boundaries. I'm gonna go through several things that I think you should be considering when you are working with your clients. The first one is that we want to be utilizing one path or one portal for our clients. When we have many channels inbound into our practices, the problem is that one, our clients don't know exactly what the expectations are. Two, we're exhausted because we know that we saw some message coming in from somewhere. Was it on social media? Was it in email? Was it in the portal? Was it a phone call? When all of these channels are coming inbound with information from your clients, that leads to a lot of chaos and a lot of missed information and a lot of rework and a lot of re-communication that has to happen in order to make sure you have everything you need. So what we want to be thinking about is how can we reduce the communication channels in from our practice, from all of our clients, into one place, which would be our secure portal. Another thing that this does is it helps us to make delegation easy, meaning that our team is able to work more efficiently, freeing up more time and making things more efficient for everyone. Now I want to talk about why this is so important by sharing a case study from one of our clients. And this is Bridget's story. When Bridget came to us, she was burned out. She was working 24/7. She was losing track of her workload because she didn't have a tool like TaxDome to help her keep everything in place. This was 2021, and everything broke. She started having clients calling her saying, "Hey, I dropped my documents off with you like 3 weeks ago. Where are you at? I'm expecting my return by now." And she didn't even know they had dropped their documents off. So it was the implementation of systems that helped her to actually recover and build a business that serves her now. So what she did is she reduced her channels of communication. No longer were her clients emailing her documents, sending them via text, sending them via social media, wherever it was coming in from. She reduced these communication channels, resulting in a huge efficiency for her and her clients. She was able to significantly reduce her working hours, and she even did lose a few clients, but she maintained the same amount of revenue the following year because she was actually feeling confident in her pricing, and she was able to actually serve those fewer clients at a higher level and raise her prices confidently. She was able to then also be a more present mom and grandma, because that was her ultimate goal in life. She didn't have to worry about work. She started sleeping at night peacefully because she knew that her systems had her back. The next thing I want to talk about in boundaries is that we need to start communicating and creating deadlines that our clients actually respect. So tax season is always stressful. There's always a lot of moving parts, and the criticality of cutoffs and data or document submission is the key. And the thing is when we are not leveraging or making decisions prior to tax season and executing on these cutoffs, we can start getting into the emotional response of this, right? March 15th rolls around, you're like, I really got to get all these clients to get their stuff in. But my question is are you communicating with your clients effectively about those cutoffs? Because cutoffs are not punishment. They are structure. And they are the thing that is going to reduce the stress on you and your team when you're in those high stress states of tax season. So some of the best practices that we have come up with that I wanted to share with you today is that you need to right now, in this fall, decide what your cutoff dates are going to be for next year. What is that date for your business entities, and what is that date for your individual returns? And when you establish those, you then need to start thinking about how can I better communicate with my clients? Now in this example, we're looking at March, and this would be the individual communication cutoff. So I want you to start thinking about what is that date? What is am I putting that in my communications agreements? Am I putting that in my initial communications and kickoff for the tax season? Is it in my engagement letter? Do I also repeat it in my organizer? Because if you're establishing these expectations on your clients, you need to be repeating multiple times. And so we can make sure that it is repeated multiple times, and you're going to have people be more compliant. However, humans are busy. And when we're busy, we need to make sure that we are also communicating as those dates arrive. Now, TaxDome makes it so easy to do this, and I'm going to show you in a moment the workflow on this. But we want to start communicating 10 days out from that deadline to only those people that are actually still outstanding on owing us documents, because we don't need to email everyone. TaxDome lets us do that. The other thing we want to do is 2 days out. Anyone that is still outstanding and has not gotten us their documents, we want to re-communicate it, because people, again, are busy. Humans need to be reminded multiple times. And when we do this, we also need to set the expectations of what happens if you don't meet my deadline. And so I recommend 2 days after the cutoff, or a couple of business days after, you also send a follow-up to all the people that didn't actually get in your stuff, telling them again what's going to happen and what they can expect from this point forward in the relationship and the delivery of the service. So let's see this in action. Can you guys play the demo here?
In short demo, I want to show you exactly how we can do these cutoff emails and make it super simple for you and your team to be communicating more effectively with your clients. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to call out what that looks like in the pipeline and who we're sending to. So this is a tax prep pipeline. This is our signature tax prep pipeline from our Workflows for Tax Growth program, where we believe that in order to provide an excellent onboarding experience, we believe that you should be breadcrumbing your clients to success. What does that mean? And then giving them little bite-sized actions to do along the way, so that we make sure that nobody misses anything. If somebody gets hung up on one item, like the organizer or maybe paying a deposit and having questions or concerns about that, we know exactly where the bottlenecks are happening for every individual client. Edra, the pipeline is intended to do that for you. And we have 5 stages that are automated onboarding. So the first one is from the first one over here to the organizer and gathering the documents from the client. We want to be able to communicate with these people as these cutoff deadlines are hitting. And so the TaxDome has made this super easy, and I want to show you exactly how you can set this up and create this system in your practice too. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create our template email, because templates are the powerhouse in TaxDome. By having your template already created, you get to make sure that you are not having to do this work, this thinking work, at the time of when you're trying to send us, which is probably a heightened stress period for you when you're trying to just keep things moving ahead in tax season. So create your template beforehand. Right now is a beautiful time to do it. And so by doing that, you're going to have not only your 10 days out from your cutoff deadline, I recommend also the 2 days out from your cutoff deadline, and even making the decision about what that email that will go to them after it is the cutoff looks like, so that you aren't having to think about what are the repercussions for that, and the communication is consistent across all 3 emails. So go and create your templates and save these into your tax system. Once you've created them, the next step is I want you to create an account filter that will allow you on the day in which we want to send those template emails that we just created out to all of our clients with outstanding actions. Then it's a breeze, it's snappy, it takes you 1 to 2 minutes on those busy days. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the filter function. Now TaxDome has given us this very powerful filtering function that is the pipeline and stage filter. What this does is it allows us to select our tax preparation pipeline, but not just the pipeline. We get to go in and select the exact stages that we want to communicate with and filter down to. So by selecting these stages, what this is doing is only going to give me back would be active jobs in those stages. So if you have anywhere, it won't send anyone else, just the people that are in your onboarding process of your pipeline. So we have those 4 stages. And what I can do then is I can add this to favorites. So this is saving that filter that I just created, making it simple for me to come back to, so I'm not having to remember, the same process, where's that document that said how to do this? No, it's all right here. So we're gonna call this cut-off deadline filter, or for email, call it that. And I can even share this filter with the team member if I want, making it public. And so once I have created it and I want to then save and apply, and then what will happen is when I come back here on the date in which I am sending one of my emails, and I recommend putting it on your Outlook or your Google Calendar, so that there's a task for you that morning, or your admin has it on their calendar for that morning. They're going to come in and they're going to do this 2-minute action. What they're going to do, because the templates are created, the filters created, they come into our favorites. They scroll down to our cutoff deadline for email filter. They then select all of the accounts that returned, and they go to send email. They're then going to find our template. Reminder, here's that one template that I created. And I'm going to then make any modifications to it that I want to make, and I'm going to send to all. I do not recommend scheduling this email. You want to send this day of. You want to send this real time because things change so fast in tax season. If you try to schedule me out a couple days or a couple weeks before the actual email goes out, what TaxDome is doing is it is sending to those people that had outstanding edits at that point. But that may not be the case today when I'm actually sending the email. But we made this process so efficient that you don't need to worry about scheduling ahead of time. Go ahead and just send it real time and get it out to your people. So once I have selected all my accounts, I can go to send all. And now they have received an email that says, hey, you have something outstanding in our process of doing your taxes this year. Please go to your client portal and see the actions that are happening, because our client portal is where we're telling them exactly what's outstanding for them, right? They're gonna have their new custom checklist. Maybe they have an invoice outstanding and an engagement letter that needs to be signed. Whatever it is for that specific client, they go to their portal, they take the actions, they can then ask for further question or detail in the portal and get you to help them move forward if they're stuck. So that is a powerful process that will change the game for you this tax season.
All right. So the other part of boundary setting is that we have to train our clients. And this is not just because they're not technical, it's that they've just gotten, it's just habits. They're humaning, right? We all get in our habit. If I'm starting communicating with you through social media or through text or through email, and I think I need to get you my documents, the first thing I'm going to do is go back to that point in which I was communicating with you before. And so that's why people are doing that. And it's not malicious, it's not intentional, it's just that they don't know better. So what we want to do is we need to make sure that we are training our clients. And so these are some templates, and I'm actually going to give you guys a link to these templates that you can download after the event. But these are some templates that you can use. So the first one here, it's like if someone texts you on your cell phone or sends you something via social media, have that in your phone so you could send them a quick note that says, hey, I won't talk to you here. I appreciate you, but I care about your security and your of your documents. So I'm going to send you my portal link. Here's the link to go and do that. So add that to your phone so you have it quick for copy and paste for any offenders. And then the other one is emails with attachments. This is one that people have a really hard time breaking the habit of because they're humans. Again, we want to make sure that if they're doing it, we give them grace. But if they continue to do it, we need to just keep pointing them back to our portal and breaking that habit. And it's about repetition. It's like with my 7-year-old, go brush your teeth, gotta brush your teeth, go brush your teeth, go brush your teeth. I have to say it every night, multiple times. As much as I would love to see her do it on her own, she's not there yet. I have to continue training her to build the habit. So let's talk about Samantha's story. So Samantha came to us right before last tax season. She had TaxDome the year prior. They implemented our Workflows for Tax Pro system. And what we have built into our Workflows for Tax Pro system that was so positively impacting on Samantha and her story is not only did we help her make sure she was leveraging the automations and the AI and the features of TaxDome, but we were able to help her make sure that she was being proactive in communicating with her clients. And the outcome of what they've had, they saw a 30 to 40% drop in phone calls in from their clients because they were actually proactively communicating to them. They were telling them, this is what I need from you right now. Here's how I need you to do it. And the clients were getting followed up thanks to the automated reminders and the AI or TaxDome. They were able to let those things go out. The clients knew exactly what was expected of them and they actually executed on it. What that did is it freed up 25 hours a month for each and every one of her 4 staff members and multiple hours for herself because she was no longer having to manage those people and doing that work. And so Sam was actually able to take a 2-week vacation that she never thought she'd be able to do. And she's now delegating more and more of the compliance work to her team members because she has the systems to do it. So the next thing I want to talk about is that proactive communication. And I'm going to go through these next couple a little bit quicker because they're a little bit more conceptual. But the first thing is breadcrumbing. I like to use this in the old Hansel and Gretel thing where you lured them in with the breadcrumbs. But what we're going to do with breadcrumbing is we want to make sure that we are in a friendly way driving their action. And so we need to break things down. You cannot send all 25 actions you need somebody to do in tax season or tax advisory work in one big veil swoop, because when you do that, 1, people get overwhelmed, 2, they're never going to remember all of the important details of the things you're expecting of them. And so we want to have make sure that we are breadcrumbing it in bite-sized chunks. That's why that pipeline is designed the way it is it guides them through the onboarding process step by step. The next thing is we need to make sure in all of our communications, we are using empathy and absolutely no jargon, right? You cannot talk like a tax professional to your clients. You have to talk like they're fourth graders, fifth graders, and you are making yourself human to them because they will not understand acronyms. They will not understand industry jargon. So you need to make sure that when you're reviewing your communications to them, that it is human and that it is somebody that is not in the industry for them. We need to send short and timely nudges, not long walls of text. I have seen some very lengthy emails that go out to people with a lot of expectations in them. There's no wonder these people don't understand it. The engagement letter is not a communications method. That is a legal document, well, not legal, but that is a contract with you. You need to make sure that you're personalizing anywhere and everywhere you can, using their names, any relevant info that you can provide to them. That is always helpful. And we also want to make sure we always tell them how they can get assistance, especially in this day and age of virtual relationships. If they do need further assistance, tell them that it's safe for them to come to you. And of course, automated reminders, people. Always, 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 if you can use an automated reminder, that is going to be so powerful because I can't tell you for myself. I read my email while I'm standing in the grocery store checkout line, and I can guarantee you that 90% of it drops away. But if I get that reminder in a moment where I actually can take action, there's a lot more likelihood of me doing what's being asked of me. So I wanted to show you what this looks like in action. So what we have here is this is the first stage of this tax prep pipeline, and I just wanted to call out a few of the things that are here. Might be kind of hard to see, but the first thing we're doing is we're actually sending them a message, because in our pipelines, we actually have the pipeline start as a message with the task for the client saying, hey, tax season is here. It's time to get started. We would love for you to come back and work with us. And we're using the checklists, or excuse me, the client action in the message to trigger the pipeline to start so that we don't have any contracts or engagement letters or other things we're gonna have to go in and manually delete each and every one of if someone doesn't come back. It also gives us a touch point to make sure that we're establishing our expectations. The other thing we're sending is an actual email with the outline of what it looks like to work with us again this tax season. Any updates or changes, maybe pricing increases, you can pull that out again to them. That should not be the first point of contact if you're raising your prices for the year. That should be a follow-up to your previous communications. But that's what you can do in those emails. And then the other thing we're doing here is that we actually have in our pipeline the paper clients as well, so paper, business, and individual all in one pipeline. So there's several things that we're doing there just for those clients. And of course, most importantly, client-facing statuses. If you guys aren't using these, do start using these. These are powerful. They are updates that go to the client portal that show where they're at in your process. It's the pizza truck, right? It's the pizza truck, but we all want it. And so now we have it, so you need to make sure that you're taking advantage of those in your pipelines this next year, because it's really helpful for your clients if you're like, I haven't heard from Noemi yet, where am I at in my tax season? They can pop into the portal and be like, oh, this is exactly where you're at. Maybe do some email for you. That's what our clients are finding. The next thing I want to talk about is the customization, making sure that you're using custom fields. We actually, for chats specifically, recommend that you can, or suggest that you can create a first name salutation field that you can drop in, because that can make it more personal when you're sending those many chats throughout the tax season. We also want to make sure that we are communicating and telling people how to be efficient and effective. This last line says, don't forget to click the checkbox. I'm ready to get started to notify our team. People don't always remember to do these things, so if you repeat it multiple times throughout the message, you're more likely to get them to take action. And then of course, we talked about reminders. Always, always, always set your reminders, especially if there's an action for the client to take, like a client task in a chat. The third thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're leveraging automation. So one of the things that I want to make sure you're thinking about is how can I have a clear and consistent, timely, expectation-driven communications from the very start. We're going to have that clear onboarding sequence. So preloading your emails, your portal chats, and kickoff templates. This makes sure that everything is, or that we're setting the expectations across the board for everyone, and it's all standardized. We want to have consistent, proactive reminders throughout, using those auto reminders on all options, organizers, uploads, signatures, invoices, whatever it is. Make sure that you do this because it helps to prepare your clients for those cutoff deadlines that are coming. And we also, of course, want to do those communications that we talked about for the cutoff reminders, the email communications if possible. We want to use interview-based organizers. Now, this is our method of making sure that we're getting the information about the tax year so that we can be more effective in developing, in creating the annual return. We want to, this year, use those custom checklists. These AI-powered custom checklists that TaxDome is rolling out this tax season are going to be a game changer for so many of you, because this is the thing that we get asked time and time again. I want to give my clients a custom checklist so they know exactly what I need from them. You now have that power coming in TaxDome this fall, and it's going to make it so that these organizers now become the gathering interview. The checklist is the actual documents you need to gather from them. So do make sure that you learn about how this works when this feature rolls out. It's going to change the game. And of course, conditional logic to your organizers means that if I'm a very simple return, I answer maybe 10 questions. If I'm more complex, I have many more questions that I would answer. So that is going to be a huge help for you. The other thing that these organizers will do is it will reduce the back and forth, and we will we will improve our efficiencies and our abilities to work with our clients. And then also, when we're talking about AI, the Juno AI is going to change the game for the actual intake and review of the tax returns this year too. And the cool thing is these organizers, when we're interviewing them and they're typing in their info or they're getting their answers back, we're going to be able to print these off as PDF and upload them into Juno as well. And that's going to be one more catch in the cycle for us to not have to have our brains always working so hard. It's where the exhaustion comes in. It's because you're not only like trying to get all the returns done, but your brain is working really hard to make sure you're not missing anything. TaxDome and Juno integration is going to really make sure that we're able to provide returns that are complete and consistent across all steps of the process, and that nothing's gotten missed. And then we want to use the visibility tracker. We talked about the client-facing status. This is a picture of what that looks like if you're not using it. This is the client portal end. Here is the status here. Communication controls within the pipelines. Make sure that what this does is in using the pipelines in TaxDome, everyone has the same experience. Your team is never guessing, did this client pay an invoice? Where's the organizer at? Do we have the documents complete? What is the status of this return? Everything is consistent and standardized when we use the portals, the TaxDome pipelines. And delegation becomes a whole lot easier because it's all right in front of you and there's no gaps for people to fall into. And you no longer are the bottleneck when you are able to delegate effectively. I'm gonna skip this one. So that is the freedom formula, guys. Communication, boundaries, and automation. This is how you create the freedom that you want, resulting in less chaos, calmer workdays, and a true lifestyle business that really helps you create the world that you want to be living in. Oh, I guess the slide deck didn't get updated. So I do have, if you guys want to come by, I do have the freebie if you guys want to get the communication templates that I was talking about. So happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Earlier in the presentation,
Sorry, I didn't wait for the mic. Earlier in the presentation, you had a bullet point for a communications agreement. Can you expand on what that was? And I apologize if you did already.
No, I didn't. So I appreciate you asking about it. So communications agreement is one of the components that we have in our signature template. The reason that we have that is Jessica, my co-founder, she was finding that in the engagement letter, there's a lot of really critical information. And she once wanted to have her clients have one more filter of knowing that they saw that. What does it mean if you owe taxes in April 15th or less? It means that you have to pay your taxes, right? A lot of people don't know that. What are the deadlines that she's expecting her clients to execute on? So it's actually just a pullout of the critical points from the engagement letter that she has them signed so that if they ever come back and say, I didn't know April 15th that I had to pay my taxes, it's signed that she has that data point. So it'd be like, well, I'm sorry, you signed the agreement saying it was there. Because in the engagement letter, people just aren't going to see that. So it's just a pull out of this peons. Okay. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you today.